Hi everyone, thank you for joining us today. We're here to talk about Oracle Cloud. This is the third session in a series of 6 events that started towards the end of last year. For those of you who attended the event or webinar, there will be a short recap of the Oracle strategy to benefit those who didn't attend. But for those who didn't attend, and if you do want more information around the Oracle platform, we do have a recording of the previous webinar that we'll be able to send over to you afterwards. Today, however, is a session with bytes only. We don't have any representation from Oracle, and the plan is to share information with you that we've obtained based on feedback from the previous events and from discussions we've had with our customers. The final 3 events will be focused on specific topics of Oracle Cloud, and today is a chance for you to decide which, if any, might be of interest, and I'll talk you through the details of those later. So if I take you onto the agenda, we're going to have a quick recap of the Oracle Cloud strategy. And then we're going to discuss what the first steps and migration paths look like today. I'm going to talk to you a bit about PaaS pricing and incentives, and the same for infrastructure. And we're going to do a bit of a service comparison against Microsoft and Amazon. I'll also then talk you through the detail of the sessions and the dates for the next events. I'll open up the floor for any questions. I'd like to make a point of saying, at the moment, this is a huge learning curve for everybody, including Oracle. So things are changing on a weekly basis. We're learning new things as they come. This webinar, as an example, has been scheduled for a few weeks now, and I've actually only received some of the information over the last day or two. So do bear with me. I will need to refer to some notes at some point, but we've collated the information based on feedback that we've had from yourselves. So I hope that it will all be of interest and relevant to you. So just some statistics. The next few slides are Oracle slides, but I'm not going to spend as long on them as they do. So I just wanted to highlight really that Oracle really are a key player in this space at the moment, particularly when it comes to software as a service. They are the #2 supplier in the world, and they have a complete enterprise suite of their applications available. About 7 years ago, they started rewriting all of their applications for cloud. So that today exists, and some of you may even be taking advantage of this software as a service right now. So it's really clear to say that they are leading the way from a software as a service perspective. Now, the platform side of things and the infrastructure has been around as well, but they've not talked about it and they've not marketed it. So this is a big focus for them now moving forward. Very quickly, they claim, and I would agree with them based on the research that we've done here, that they are one of maybe 2 players that play in all of these spaces. So from a SaaS, a PaaS and an infrastructure perspective, they have enterprise solutions. From a platform as a service, they have over 30 tools that allow you to join everything together. And I think that's what really differentiates them as one of the key players, because their middleware is so advanced. And I'm going to talk through it in just a tiny bit more detail. With regards to the SaaS portfolio, most of you from the attendee list that we've got today are big businesses. You will be using Oracle applications on a daily basis, and you may well know already what your path is to the cloud. You may be working with Oracle on specific use cases and taking advantage of that. But what's really critical to say is the difference between an Oracle application on-premise and in the cloud is 0. So as an example, from an SQL perspective with Microsoft, you'll get a different look and feel for SQL in the cloud as you would to your on-premise experience. That isn't the case with Oracle, and that's across the board of all of their applications. So something to consider. And there's some tactical steps that you can take, which I'll talk you through around the SaaS side of things. With regards to the platform, this is where the magic happens. So this is how you integrate, how you create processes, how you digitalize, and really how you kind of join everything together. And as I say, this is the strength of Oracle. This middleware technology is far and above the likes of Amazon, of Microsoft. They really do have the leading edge in this, and they are, Oracle are opening up to ways to get there, and I've got some examples to talk about today, and there are more coming. So as I mentioned, this is a learning curve for everybody, Oracle are taking feedback from their end users, which is, I think, a first probably in terms of their approach to the market. But they really want to make this migration simple. So the more that you all feedback on this, the better. And certainly that's part of my role. Is very much about pulling it all together and suggesting some ways of migration. And we'll work with license contracts. We'll work with technology-focused, projects. However we need to make life a bit easier for everybody. So just want to touch on this as well. So from an infrastructure perspective, they do have the option of a private cloud. You can join the Oracle public cloud, and you can switch between the two. And the critical thing, again, is that it's the same look and feel. It's the same architecture. It's secure. It's reliable. You can scale. I find that the cloud vendors are always talking about the same thing, but really the difference between database on premise and database in the cloud is not different. There is nothing between them. So that look and feel from a user perspective doesn't change. So that's the Oracle slides. I think you probably all agree that they'd spend a lot longer on those, but I think really it was just to kind of reposition the situation, and in the previous events we spent a lot more time going into kind of the platform in a bit more technical detail. Now, it says your trusted advisors around software have a slightly different approach to things, and we focus very heavily on software, license contracts. So for us today, we want to talk to you about how you might take those first steps and what that path looks like. So, as I mentioned, SaaS has been around for a while. Customer to cloud is how Oracle refers to the term, and they have a migration path. So you can trade in maintenance fees to take on, the software as assurance, and you can, there's a clear migration path to work with your service partners around that as well. So from a platform perspective, it's a bit different, and it's not quite so simple. So existing database and Java customers need to make a decision really as to whether or not they want to trial the cloud. So the fortunate thing is Oracle offer a free trial on almost every part of their platform. So you get 30 days to trial it. And they've also said, okay, well, 30 days might not be enough for everybody, so let's put some incentives in play, which I'll talk to you about in a minute, that give you a bit longer to burn off the credits. So the problem with that is that, your existing licenses remain, and we've had a lot of feedback over the last couple of events about this particular issue, and I think you can always talk about operational savings, but actually you need to have some kind of acknowledgement of the investment that you've made with Oracle. So on a case-by-case basis, and I'm never going to get this in writing unfortunately, but on a case-by-case basis, Oracle will work with you to make this migration more attractive. As I say, the incentives are the first steps, but if you really are considering such a move, then feel free to talk to us. We have access to the right people at Oracle, and we know when to engage them and when not to engage them in terms of what information they'll need to help you move. So, we work very closely with our partners and have done from a Microsoft perspective in terms of understanding where you are today and where you want to get to, and then helping you present that back to the vendor. And that's absolutely what we aim to do on the Oracle side of things as well. So infrastructure is an interesting one. So you can bring your own licenses. If you want to lift and shift, that's definitely an option, and that's potentially something that you might want to consider. Let's use eBusiness Suite as an example. If you're looking to upgrade from eBusiness Suite 12 to 12.2, but you're not actually quite ready to take on Financials Cloud, as an example, which I'm sure Oracle might be talking to you directly about, you could build 12.2 in the infrastructure as a service, and all of that operational cost, reduces dramatically. So there's various ways of cutting this, and unfortunately, I can't give you specific examples because everybody is so very different, but I just kind of trying to give you some food for thought around what those migration paths look like at the moment. So going on to first steps, and this is an interesting one, and I've touched on some of it already. I think really this session is for you to treat it as a kind of hints and tips, for you to start sort of feeding back into the business what the options might be, what the migration process might look like. Now, you might be panicking over, okay, well, I've got these applications, some of them might be Oracle, some of them might not be Oracle. They've actually partnered up with some really crucial vendors to help make that migration path a lot easier. So from a template perspective, there's a company known as Bitnami, and there's also Oracle's application container service. Now, they are templates that make deployment of your applications very easy to Oracle Public Cloud. So they're working, and there's something called the Oracle Cloud Marketplace, which exists on cloud.oracle.com. And that is, a marketplace of vendors that are helping make life easier in this migration. So I'll make this presentation available to you, and these are hyperlinks, so you'll get the links to the various pages on the website that will tell you more about this. So from a platform perspective, as I said, it's not quite so easy. There's not a migration path today. It's kind of stop and start. So you need to decide if you've got any net new requirements. If you're looking to buy additional database licenses, how about re-provision some of your test and development licenses into production and then spin up test and development in the cloud? So the benefits of doing that are simple. It's all about agility. It's the time that it's going to take you to provision. It's the ability to move between on-premise and in the cloud. And actually then, to an extent, only pay for the time that you're using test and development, which most of the time isn't, always. And it gives you that increased response time to success and failures, and it improves efficiencies across the business. So, those efficiencies are difficult to monetize, but they will dramatically improve, your ability to provision Oracle software. So, from an infrastructure perspective, as I say, you can move Oracle, you can move non-Oracle. Again, something that I'll mention a bit later in a bit more detail, but you can run RAC. I imagine most of you are RAC customers. You can run RAC on Amazon, but you don't get any support from Oracle. So why would you do that? You need to kind of think about costs. Well, fine, we can show you the cost comparison, and actually, there's very little between the three on paper. I appreciate that might be different depending on what license contract you have and how you're buying it, whether that be a multi-year term or pay-as-you-go. But it really is a key consideration. If you've got Oracle software, you should absolutely be putting it on Oracle Infrastructure as a Service. And then something I wanted to touch on, which has been a very, very, very big topic for us over the conversations that we've had with customers since this has started, and this is around the VMware ESX6. So you might be familiar with terms such as fully licensed and partially licensed clusters. With the new flexibility in ESX6, a fully licensed environment is the safest and most compliant way to license. However, with the right tracking, a partially licensed environment may suffice, but restrictions will apply to the movement of the Oracle application. So this is, or certainly will be when you're upgrading, a serious challenge, and there's a lot of risk around that from an Oracle compliance perspective. So there is an imminent release on the infrastructure as a service known as bare metal compute, and it will allow you to bring whatever operating system and hypervisor or virtual technology you want into the infrastructure as a service, and you'll be able to extend your own network settings, and you'll be able to continue to utilize methodologies like the software-defined data center, and even consider some of that as Oracle virtualization, which will have some significant licensing savings for you. And again, that's a real specific topic, and it would be a case-by-case situation that we'd need to address. But you put the onus on Oracle doing that, and I think with the risk around the whole VMware environment and the flexibility that ESX6 gives you, if compliance is a critical thing to you, then this is a way of putting some responsibility elsewhere. So if you want to know more about that, then I'd be very happy to have an offline discussion with you. It is a detailed topic that Oracle are cagey about, to be honest, and we've got some information and we still need to get more. So it's coming, and as soon as we do have it, we will share it with you. So that brings us on to pricing options. So there's two ways to buy. There is a metered and a non-metered service. You know, metered is prepaid, unmetered is a subscription, so it's kind of pay-as-you-go versus monthly phone bill type example. Not all metered services are available. It tends to be only database and Java and infrastructure. And then the non-metered are all SaaS, all PaaS, and all infrastructure services. I've got some pricing examples for you. I hope that that's not too smaller text, and you can see that. Now, this is an incentive for trialing platform as a service. So a database option and a Java option. This has been put in place with a 15% discount from Oracle, and it's a 3-month window to burn the credits. So what you get within these is the chance to trial the All Singing, All Dancing 12c for database with all of its additional options, and you get 10 terabytes of storage to play with as well. So they are offering 1 day of consulting services free of charge, and this is really, you know, if you've done the free of charge trial, or you think the free of charge trial isn't going to give you a huge amount of value, this is your next step. And I think the pricing is reasonable, and I think the only way that that you should be taking advantage of this is in the test and development environment. So the same goes for Java. You can see there it's Enterprise Edition, and you get 5 terabytes storage with this one. So if you want more information about those, very happy to talk you through that. The incentives at the moment are valid until the end of May. It's likely that we will be able to negotiate beyond that. And more importantly, at this point in time, I'd like to say that the services are available in the UK data centre. So the data centre facility is dramatically improved, and they are, you know, live, and there are customers in there today. So I think that's certainly some news from when we were last all together. You know, that's certainly positive. So infrastructure as a service. This is my controversial slide. And it's taken me, I can't tell you how long to get to the bottom of some kind of price comparison. Between November and now, I've had numerous requests for price comparisons against Microsoft and Amazon. The short answer is it is almost impossible. Each provider measures compute in their own different way. As an example, 1 Oracle CPU is the equivalent to 2 vCPUs in Amazon. And the storage and networking don't match up either. So it's very, very difficult. But I have done as best I can, and this price is based on an equivalent to 50 Oracle CPUs, 20 terabytes of block storage, and 10 terabytes of archive storage. It's a per annum price, and I'd like to point out that from an Oracle perspective, that's the only service that you'll get that has the same architecture and look and feel to on-premise. So Microsoft coming out on top, Amazon in the middle, and Oracle are currently the lowest. Now, there's a few things I've just noted at the bottom of this with regards to, bring your own licenses. I've touched on that already. I think if you want full access to the Oracle technology and capabilities, there really is only one answer for you. You can't run RAC on Amazon or Microsoft because you're not supported. It's a huge risk if you choose to do that, and I wouldn't recommend it. And what's also interesting is that the way that Microsoft and Amazon sell their contracts, as I understand it, is that they're all independent contracts, but Oracle consolidate them. So actually, the procurement and license management is being simplified, and don't we all want that when it comes to Oracle? Because any contract is an incredible pain, and we're forever feeling at risk of compliance and all of that. So moving to the cloud with Oracle does remove an awful lot of that pain, and they are willing to financially support that transition. It just requires some work, and we'll certainly help you get there. So just before I move on, I've given you a lot of information so far, and at the beginning I mentioned there was a series of events that are planned, and really the point of these events is is to drill down into some specific areas. So I will be contacting you, or one of my colleagues will be contacting you over the next week or so to find out really kind of what you think you're interested in, and see if you'd be interested to attend a smaller focus session. Oracle will be involved, and it'll be about kind of, you know, making the next step. So I just want to run through the detail of that with you on those events. So the first one is scheduled for the 4th of March. I've got some interesting figures that we've been using recently. Savings of up to 59% compared to running development environments on-premise or on infrastructure services such as AWS. So Oracle Database, when buying it as a platform service, comes with Apex. I'm not sure if any of you are familiar with that, but if you're not using Java, this is a really easy to use development tool, which makes you know, your investment into the cloud maybe more manageable when you don't have to invest in the Java side of things as well. And we'll be in the development side of things, we will be talking very much about why not infrastructure. You know, so you could move to PaaS, but why don't you just bring your own licenses in infrastructure? So we'll be doing a comparison as to exactly what those services mean to you, so that you can make informed decisions as to, you know, what's right. You may prefer to keep a lot of, you know, this patching and software upgrades and configurations on site. You might want to control that, and at that point in time, maybe infrastructure is the right move for you. So we'll be doing a comparison between the two, and we'll be talking very specifically about the test and development side of things. On the 11th of March, we will be talking through what a data cloud workshop might mean to you. So again, another statement: 25 per gig on third-party Tier 1 backup, reduced to £21 per terabyte on Oracle Backup Cloud Services, is an enormous cost saving, and that's an actual UK customer cost saving. You know, all of our data has a life cycle. What you know Bytes for is software asset management. Well, from a data point of view, the same logic applies. You know, you need to be able to tier how often it's accessed, where you might store it, what type of storage you're going to store it on. And we'll talk you through the concept of what that workshop means to you, and the output of that, and whether that be, you know, Oracle Cloud Storage, Oracle Archive, Oracle Backup. You know, all of those are options, and it's about deciding what goes where. So we'll be talking to you about that on the 11th. And then on the 18th, modernisation. So this is an interesting one, very topical for Bytes. A recent Oracle survey showed that the #1 threat to our customers' business was the ability of their competitors to launch new products and services more rapidly. So how does the business modernisation approach work? Well, it's the standard engagement for us. It is, we start with your install base, we look at what you've got, we look at where you want to get to, and we provide a path to get you there. Now, this can be done in conjunction with Oracle, it can be done alone with Bytes. But if you really do want to look at this seriously, then we'll talk you through what type of package that is, and how you get from A to B. And that's not just from a software and license perspective, that's with technical services attributed to it as well. So these three topics have been chosen based on you know, feedback from discussions that we've been having since November time. So if you are interested in attending any of those, love you to come along. It's going to be at the Royal Exchange in London, and it's going to be very personal. We're expecting probably groups of, I don't know, 5 to 10, and to talk through some real life use cases as well. So I know I've rambled on, and I've kind of touched on SaaS, PaaS, and infrastructure, and you know, there's still a lot of questions out there, I'm sure. But really, if I want you to take anything away from the session today, it's this. The cloud tooling within the platform as a service is critical, and that is how you're going to save money. So there's various options when looking at platform as a service, but I do urge you that if you are considering it, you ask for cloud tooling, because that's the automation around the patching, the backup, the synchronization that really makes the difference to the cost. Non-metered services are cheaper, so if you can commit, you're going to benefit. And we can work with you on predicting usage. You know, there's various calculators that we have here that will contribute towards that. So that's a session, you know, that comes a bit later down the line once we've identified where you want to go. But if you can look at non-metered, you will save money. VMware license implications can be avoided. Now, I know this is contentious, and I know that, you know, I've actually got nothing in writing that I can give you on this, but I've had, you know, input from Oracle that they will work with us on this as and when it's right for us to approach them. So if you want to have discussions about how we really get to the bottom of the benefits in this space, then please do talk to us. There's more to infrastructure than just a cost saving. You know, the Oracle look and feel makes a huge difference. If you are an existing Oracle database user, you can have exactly that feeling when you move it to infrastructure, and you will not get that with Microsoft and Amazon. So that's something to make a point about. And the cloud marketplace. So I mentioned tools to make migration easier. Everything exists on cloud.oracle.com. So please have a look. Type in keywords and it should come up with everything that you need. It's an invaluable resource for me at the moment. I tend to go there for absolutely everything before I even ask Oracle. So do have a nosy, and of course if you have any questions, please do let us know. I think that, you know, there will be some phone calls over the next couple of weeks for myself and my team, and we'll look forward to kind of speaking to you in a bit more detail. I hope that today has been kind of that next step that you were hoping for. I know that we've tried to cut through a lot of the Oracle marketing and present some facts to you. So on that note, I'll open up the floor for any questions. I can't promise I'm going to know the answers, but if I don't, I'll certainly find them out. Thanks very much for your time.
Okay, thanks Hayley. So it doesn't look like I've got any questions today. Thank you everyone so much for joining the webinar, and thank you Hayley for presenting. So as mentioned previously, I'll send you all the recording this afternoon, and if you'd like a follow-up call or if you'd like more information, you can pop that in the feedback form which will pop up at the end. Okay, thanks everyone.